In this step, we're going to add two buttons at the bottom of the form. One button will add the data to the database worksheet. The other button will close the form. Before I add the buttons, I'm going to make a little more room at the bottom of this user form. I need about a 1/2 inch here, so I'll click on the user form so that those handles appear. I'll drag down so there's enough room. To add a button, I'll go to the toolbox and I'll use the command button tool. So I'll click that. I want the first button at the left side. Click there, and that puts in a standard size command button, and this is going to be the button to add the part data to the database. So with that button selected, I'm going to change its name to CMD Add. So double click the name property, type CMD Add, and press enter. I want its caption to change too, so that people will know what that button does. So I'll double click the caption property and type add this part and press enter. I want this to be the default button so that if you just press the enter key, that will be the button that is activated. For that, I'll look for the default property. Here it is, and right now it's false. So I'll click here, there's a drop down arrow, and I can make that true. So this is going to be the highlighted button when the form runs. The other button is going to close the form. So I'll go back to the toolbox, click the command button, and click to the right of the add this part button. So for this, we're going to change its name, and this will be CMD Close. So double click here, type CMD Close, and press enter. Next, we'll change its caption so that it says close. Double click the caption property, type close, and press enter. We don't have to change the default property here, but we do want this to be the cancel button so that if somebody presses the escape key on their keyboard, this button will become highlighted. For the cancel property, I'll change it from false to true. Now that we have the buttons set up, we want some code to run when those buttons are clicked. So I'm going to start with this add this part button. I'll click it to select it, and I'm going to copy the code from the appendix in the user guide. So here is the appendix 3, which has the project 2 code, and this is the command add button code. Excel will automatically create the first line, the private sub, and the last line, end sub. So I'm going to select everything from this dim L row down to me CBO part type. Press Ctrl C to copy. Then go back to the user form. To add the code, we're going to right click on this button and click View Code. And that creates that first line and last line, and right here we can see the cursor flashing, so I can paste the code right in there. I'll go to the paste button on the toolbar. So this code is going to check to see if you've entered a part. Then it's going to take all the data from the combo boxes and the text boxes and put them on the worksheet in the first empty row and then in columns 1 through 6. And then it will clear out all the data that's on the user form and go back and select the part type combo box so you're ready to start again. Some of these lines have turned green and they all start with an apostrophe, and those are just comments that explain what the code is doing. To go back and see the user form, we'll go to View and click Object. Next, we want to add code to the Close button, so I'll right-click on it and click View Code. And here, just below the previous code, we can see the start, the private sub, and end sub. So this just takes one line of code. We're just going to unload the form. So just type unload and a space, and then the word me. You can press enter, and if you typed everything in lowercase, it will automatically put an uppercase letter at the start of each of these words. So now we have the two buttons ready. We're also going to add some code to the user form itself that will run when we start up the user form. So go back to View, Object, and that shows us the user form. And I'm going to right-click on an empty part of this user form and click View Code. And here we can see that it created a user form click. Now the cursor's flashing between these two lines. I don't want something to happen when I click the user form, so I'm going up to the top And here is a procedure drop down. So click here and we're going to choose initialize instead. So that will create another little procedure here, and I'm going to delete this one that I don't need. Now inside this user form initialize, I'm going to copy just a few little lines that you can copy right out of the instructions in the user guide. So here's the code. I'm going to select these 4 lines, Control C to copy, and go back to the user form. Where the cursor is flashing here for user form initialize, I'll Control V to paste. It's just going to put in the default date, which will be the current date shown as a medium date, and a quantity of 1, and then select that part type combo box so you can get started. So I'm going to go back to the user form, View Object, and then I'll click Save to save what I've done so far.